Welcome back to the Alone with the Mouth podcast. This is the podcast that isn't satire, and how dare you think it is. Normally for these episodes, I sit by myself alone in a room and I let my stream of consciousness go to work. And normally I write down a couple of words to kind of help me get started, but today I did not do that. I am going off the dome because I have more confidence in my abilities now. That's a lie, but I really want to talk about sparkling water. Sparkling water is destroying this world. I think it is one of the worst creations on the planet. If there was ever, if people are looking for proof that hell exists, I think sparkling water is not the only reason, definitely not the only reason, but you can make a good argument that if there was no Satan, there would be no sparkling water. And that's how much I hate sparkling water. That's how bad I think sparkling water is. When I was a child, a grandfather on one of the sides of my family, on my mother's side of the family, offered me sparkling water. He called it club soda. I believe club soda is another name for sparkling water, and I accepted it. I was a fool. I did not know he called it club soda. So in my brain, it was going to be soda. It was going to taste good in my brain. And so I took a sip, and it was the most bitter, disgusting, atrocious thing in the world, and it was awful. It scarred me for life. It altered my brain chemistry in a way that I no longer trust any canned drinks, because what if it's sparkling water? Every time I take a sip of root beer from a can, I just think back to that day, age 7, when I drank sparkling water. Do you realize how much stuff I remember from the age of 7? I don't remember anything from the age of 7 except for when I drank sparkling water. That's how much this has scarred me. There are some people who like sparkling water, and I think those people are evil. Some would argue that those people are demons. I wouldn't go to that extent. I think that's a little too far. I would call them evil. I think there needs to be something inherently wrong with you, something inherently evil, despicable within your soul, within your taste buds to make you like sparkling water. So, but yeah, in their defense, I do think calling them a demon is going too far for those who do that. But sparkling water is one of those things that some people say, those who like sparkling water, they defend it by saying, oh, it's just a unique taste, right? They drink their little LaCroix, their little bubblies, and they're like, oh, it's just a unique taste you don't understand. No, I understand what it tastes like, okay? And there's other drinks that I don't think taste good, like black coffee. Black coffee I think is gross, but I get it. I really do. There's actually a research study that came out that my sister shared with me that people who drink black coffee are more likely to be psychopaths. I live in a dorm and people were being obnoxiously loud. Like I was saying, if people who drink black coffee are more likely to be psychopaths, I think people who drink sparkling water are more likely to commit genocide. And that's what I believe. If you like sparkling water, justify yourself. Try to. I'd like to see your reasons. Oh, it tastes good. It's like soda, but without the calories. It's not like drink diet soda. But it's like bad. But diet soda is bad for you. Well, sparkling water is bad for your taste buds, and it's bad for your personality. And I'm really hitting hard on this whole sparkling water thing, but that's how much I hate it. I hate sparkling water. I hate it with a passion. And I'm gonna move on now because I think you guys get the point. I am trying to be more thankful as a human being. There are a lot of good things going on in my life, and I think one of those things that I've really appreciated is the fact that I'm not chapstick. I think of all the inanimate objects out there, I think being chapstick is one of the worst. People and for a number of reasons, right? Think of inanimate objects you wouldn't want to be, right? Maybe you think of toilet paper. Okay, but like toilet paper is like, each individual ply is like its own little unit, right? So if you're a ply toilet paper, sure, you gotta get used, but you're only gonna be used once, and then you're flushed down the toilet and your life is over, right? And for weeks or months, you can just kind of sit in a Target and hang out, right? So like, sure, being toilet paper isn't great, but it's kind of like a one and done scenario, not awful. Chapstick, you have like a little tube, and one of two things can happen. Either you are constantly touching the lips of someone who has very crusty, dry lips. That's gross. Think of the germs that you are contaminated with, right? So on a daily basis, maybe multiple times a day, you are touching someone's dry lips, and that sounds awful. However, what happens to most chapstick containers. I'm convinced that most people don't actually use up all their chapstick, but they actually end up losing it at some point. And so your two options as a chapstick bottle after you get purchased, right, are you either slowly die by touching someone's dry, crusty lips, or you get lost forever and you die alone. And I don't know if you would like die as an inanimate object as a chapstick, but you'd probably get like moldy and stuff, right? Does chapstick get moldy? I assume it does. I bet it does, because maybe like if I took like half-used chapstick, which like has all my little germs on it, and just like set it in a scientific lab, I think over the course of years it would generate mold. But those are your only two options as chapstick. No one uses chapstick. Like even for Vaseline, like you could be used to like put over wounds and stuff. Like people use it for like other help. Like you can be a little more helpful as Vaseline, whereas chapstick, it's like you're just helping someone's crusty lips. You're not providing that much value. And you're not providing a lot of value for the pain and torture that your life is going to be spent in. So trying to be more thankful. Today, I am very thankful that I am not a chapstick container, a chapstick bottle. What are some other reasons I can be thankful for? Or what are some other inanimate objects I would not want to be? I think I wouldn't want to be... I think if I was a mug, I think being a mug might be one of the most useless jobs ever. Because for the most part, people have too many mugs and they end up not using like any of them. I know that's the case for me. So I feel like if I was a mug, that'd be pretty useless, a pretty thankless job. I feel like I wouldn't do much if I was a mug, because most mugs don't end up doing anything. Being deodorant, I think you make an argument actually that being deodorant might be worse than being chapstick. I think that is an argument that could be made, because although deodorant, you're less likely to be lost in the void. I think most people do use I think most people don't lose. I think the ratio of people losing their chapstick bottles is like, I think more people lose their chapstick bottles on average than they lose their little deodorant containers. I have my deodorant right next to me. That's why I was inspired. But even then, deodorant is touching someone's like sweaty pits. Would you rather touch someone's sweaty pits or their dry, lifeless lips? That's the question of the day. So ponder that, think about that. I think like that's something Socrates always wanted to know, and I don't think he was ever able to answer that. So you probably won't be able to, because you're dumb. But that was mean. That was mean. I'm sorry. Sometimes I insult my audience for no reason, when you guys do not deserve that. We're now getting to the point in the podcast where I'm like, well, it'd be great if I could get this thing to 10 minutes, but I'm probably not going to be able to do that because I didn't write anything down. And that, because I was confident in my abilities, and I'm no longer confident. My brain is slipping, my confidence is fading, and I don't know who I am anymore. I need to get some more dirt for my aloe plant that I talked about a couple episodes ago, because it's still in like the little plant, in the little like pot that came from Home Depot, in like the little plastic pot, and it's sitting in a bigger pot, but I don't have enough dirt to put it in the bigger pot, and I might just go dig some up at some points, but for now, it's just gonna sit there. I guess I'm not really in a rush. The final thing before we just end this thing, I think we were off to a really strong start. I think we're ending kind of poorly. But it's gonna snow again tonight, and if you remember from last episode, I think America should ban snow, and it was really funny to read a lot of the replies to my argument. A lot of people disagreed. Believe it or not, a lot of people didn't think America should ban snow, or they thought that I was an idiot. And at the end of the day, my goal is for my audience to either disagree with me or think I'm an idiot. So I think I accomplished my goals with that. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Alone with the Mouth podcast, the Alone with the Mouth show. This is not a podcast. This is a show. This is an experiment. This is an experiment and an experience. If you're listening, thank you for listening on Spotify, iTunes, whatever. You can find me wherever. Also find me on YouTube. That's where these things I think are getting the most traction right now. I'm also a published author. That's something I should be doing a better job of promoting, but I have a book out on Amazon, $2. It's a little poetry book, some funny, some sad little poems. If you're interested, check the link in the description. I appreciate you all. You guys are all the best.